April showers bring May flowers. I am born and bred in Washington State. I know rain. But today, I welcome each and every one of you to my fourth humble book opinion. Sorry, I almost forgot. I am a very avid reader. I read a good amount of my time. It is a huge passion, and I would just like to share with you guys what I've read. And I tell you if I you don't have to watch or read or anything, but that is the plan. So, my first book this month, it took me a little longer to read than usual. I'll explain later, but my first book is Forever by Pete Hamill. And it's about a young man who is born in Ireland. The year is 1723, which, believe me, is important. Anyway, he lives in Ireland. He's born to a loving mom and a loving dad, and they love each other. Unfortunately, his mom dies in an accident when he's like 8, and his dad is murdered in front of him when he's 16. Now in Ireland, the way it goes is if you were taught in the old ways, then you will be responsible for avenging your family's death. So, he goes and kills a few of the thugs that were there, but then he goes after the big guy. And the big guy, he learns, has just boarded a boat to New York in America. So Cormac gets on a boat and he follows him. He gets to New York, and the year is like 1740 at this point. And let's just say a lot is happening in New York. And he meets some African Americans and he slaves. And in Ireland, that behavior just makes no sense. You cannot own another human. They're not robots, you know. You can't just claim a fellow human, and this doesn't make sense to Cormac at all. So there's no problem to be friends with them, and they have enjoyed the revolution. The point is, there's a lot going on in New York around this time, and he participates in so much of it. But the big part of the story, he ends up sacrificing himself for a fellow slave, and he is granted the gift of immortality. Now, he is given rules for this. If he steps off the island of Manhattan, he will cease to exist, but he will not be able to enter the other world when he's dead to see his family and loved ones. So let's just leave that at that. Leave it at. So it is very exciting. A lot of story in this, definitely. I think it's very well written and amazing. Good job with the research. It's just wow. I give this book a 4-star. I very much recommend it. It is great. If you love historical fiction, I really, really highly recommend picking this up. My only criticism would be to say that this book has over 600 pages. It took me about 2.5 weeks to read because there's just so much info. In this book, I had to Google every 5 minutes just to learn more about this, which that is great. But with these book reviews, I do want to get through a certain amount of books, and I want to let you guys know what it's like. So I would say maybe split it into 2 or 3 books. That would be great. The next book I read is called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This story is about 2 kids. They are about 12. The year is 1995. Their names are Sadie and Samuel. Anyway, they meet in the hospital game room and start talking instantly about video games, and they really bond over that. They both really love playing video games and the aspect, and they start to form a really strong bond. And by the time they're in college, he goes to Harvard and she goes to MIT. They're both in Connecticut and they reconnect, I guess. And once they're together, lo and behold, they're talking about video games. And they decide, let's make a video game together. The game they create is wildly successful. They are able to build a business and hire more people, and it covers a span of about 20 years. It was a really awesome book for me. I love video games and I enjoyed the human development, and my brother is a video game designer. I'm not as good as he is at video games, but I really do like them, and I really enjoyed this and all the video game lingo, which 4 stars, because I know people that are not really into games and maybe wouldn't enjoy this, but I think if you have played video games ever and you like it, then I recommend this one as well. Very, very good. I really liked it. The last book was a fairly good book. Well, very good actually. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but I definitely did. This is Mrs. Saint and the Defective by Julie Lawson-Timmer. I actually want to read more by her. I want to look and see what her other titles are. This book was, you guys, it's just unbelievably adorable, really nice, fun, mellow, chill read. I would give this 4 stars. It was a cup of tea. I loved it. This focuses on Mrs. Saint. I mean, look at the cover of this. I have somebody in my life right now who's just like Mrs. Saint. They're really up in my business all the time, and I kinda just want them to step off.
Step out! Step out! Step out! Step out!
Leave me alone, let me make my own decisions. Mrs. Saint is a huge nuisance for our main character. Our main character is a 45-year-old woman named Marky, and she is just getting off this terrible divorce. Her husband, piece of shit, really cheated on her with multiple women, and he took all their money and savings. And they have a 14-year-old son who he does not spend time with, and so the situation is just like she just kind of wants to lay under her covers for the next 10 years. We know what that is. Anyway, she is kind of devastated and trying to manage her dumpster fire of a life, and Mrs. Saint is her neighbor. And at first, Miss Saint and Marky meet because Miss Saint is helping her move in. She is directing the people who live with her to go unload their moving truck, and Marky is thankful, but she just wants Mrs. Saint to go away. I'm kinda with Marky on this. It was really frustrating. Mrs. Saint just would come over all the time and kind of put herself in the situation when she definitely doesn't need to be. It is Miss Saint as a couple people at her house, her employees. Just a cook, a gardener, a kind of maid. And she calls them her defectives because they all have flaws or something wrong with their life, and that's a weird way to classify people, but you know, we all have shit going on, and in this book there are no major explosions, but it's really interesting how the emotions and behaviors can develop over time in characters. Marky ends up helping even reluctantly, and helping others is actually helping her situation. It's a really deep, eloquent book, and it really makes you think. And I love books like that. Julie Lawson Timmer. Girl, I'm gonna look up your stuff for it. The ending in the last 5 pages, I was given a kind of twist. I didn't really think it was gonna happen, and it just made the story so much better. I recommend this book. 4 stars, a 4.5 maybe. It was really a great book, but those were my 3 books for the month of March. I do have a couple books, and I just started reading one of them. I kinda like it. Hopefully it stays that way, but if you are interested in hearing my reviews, I will be posting them end of the month, beginning of the next month, hopefully. But I love reading. I never stop. I will always be here, so please like and subscribe, and definitely subscribe. I will be here, and I'm so happy that you're here also. Well, you guys have a good one. Get an umbrella.